Hello, Theater Addicts. My name is Danielle Benson, and I am here with Deborah and Naomi Vogt of Big Sister. I saw their show last night, and I am super excited to interview them because they're about to go into their very last show. So hello and welcome.
Thank you.
Hey there.
I see you're on Granville Island already. Are you getting ready for your show?
Yep.
We both have coffees in hand, so absolutely, we're warming up the Vancouver way.
A Vancouver warm-up is a cup of coffee. Nice. I like it.
In the rain, especially, yeah.
Yeah. So I saw your show last night, and I really love that you are talking about issues like the way that the weight that we have affects the way that people see us, and also just, I mean, as a woman who has quite a lot of weight, just some of the jokes. Oh my gosh, like, you know, we're used to people telling us about our diets all the time. It's like one of the things that drives me crazy. So what made you think to do this play in the first place?
Well, the idea to collaborate was originally my idea because I spent last summer in Edinburgh. I went to the Fringe and I saw so many beautiful, inspirational solo shows, and I wanted to do something like that without actually performing myself because I'm terrified and very shy. But I thought the perfect person to do that with would be my sister. So when we traveled together, we thought about doing a show together but didn't have an idea yet. I think the premise to tell your story was probably your idea.
Well, I lost 75 pounds over 2 years and was just sort of horrified by all the privileges that were suddenly thrust upon me. It was a very surreal experience to move through the world in a smaller body and go, oh my God, everything that I thought before about why I wasn't getting dates or getting jobs, that wasn't all in my head. That was because I was fat. And so I also wanted to speak about that and translate that experience into theater. And so this was the opportunity that we took to do that.
Yeah. But telling her story through my words.
Yeah, so tell me more about that, because I don't want to give too much away for people who are going to go see the show today. But you do. So Deborah, the younger sister, wrote it, and Naomi, the older sister, is performing it. Can you tell me what that collaborative process was like?
It's been interesting.
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, when you're working with your sister, there's no censors, right? So if you like something or don't like something, unlike in other collaborations,
not necessarily a professional working
environment. It's not very professional. We don't hold back. If we don't like something, we will speak that. And Deborah and I have a particularly, non flowery relationship. We're pretty we call it like it is. So yeah,
you come to the show if you want to learn more about our relationship,
our dynamic. Yeah,
I think a lot of this was Naomi trying to give up ownership of her story, and me trying to present it from my perspective. So it's playing with power dynamics quite a bit, and who is actually in control, the writer or the performer. At the last day.
Yeah, that's a game that's very much at play in the show. The game of, I have Deborah's script, but I can alter her words, but she has written my experience for me, and so I to some extent I have to follow her version of the story.
So
it's a much more intimate, much more vulnerable version of that kind of classic, you know, the characters come to life and take over the play from the writer, but this is happening in real time, and you're real, you're not fictional. So
yeah, and everything is very real and honest in the work.
Yeah. Can you tell me anything about the letters without giving too much away?
Yeah, so part of it is that I've written letters to my sister. There's 5 in total, and everything in the letters, there's content that she's never seen before. It's all new information, and me trying to be very open and honest through these words rather than actually communicating in person.
Which is apropos of Deborah's communication style. So she has written to me on stage things I've never read before for me to open up and read out loud to a public audience, but things that she wouldn't actually speak directly to me. And I respond to those letters on stage for the first time.
So, I mean, there's an ability to be honest when you're writing something, because you're not confronted with that person straight away. So I imagine that allows you to be more honest and open in writing. But also it was just more practical because most of this rehearsal period happened when you weren't in the same country. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was living in London the last year, and Naomi was in Vancouver, and then spent the summer at Caravan Theatre in Okanagan. So we wrote this totally remotely, which I think maybe in some ways made it easier, to be honest, because I knew I wouldn't have to deal with the confrontation for quite some time.
She wouldn't have to look me in the eyes
while she was reading this, or
while she revealed her deepest, darkest secrets.
You too.
And me too. Yeah. No, we only had 2 weeks together to actually put the show on its feet. Actually, less than that, practically. But
a lot of emails and some Skype conversations,
mm-hmm.
which I think sort of aided that process of writing the letters, because it was through these emails and stuff like that the idea of writing letters came into the script.
Yeah, the show definitely reflects the development process. The fact that a lot of it is through correspondence, and that Deborah's written to me, and then I'm responding live on stage. That's sort of the way that we actually had to write it, through necessity.
It's also, I keep going, it's a new twist on, but there's another play about letter writing in the Fringe. There's Dear Elizabeth, which is, I think they started writing letters to each other in the 50s, I think. I can't remember. It was a long time ago when letters were the right way to communicate. And that has a certain feel to it. So you've kind of taken this kind of long distance kind of way of doing it, although I'm sure you did it in email and not in handwritten letters, but you're using letters on stage. And so there's that lovely mix of, this kind of old-fashioned idea of information taking a long time to get to someone else, but then the immediacy of being on stage and addressing it. So you've got a lovely mix going on there.
Yeah, we're trying to do something a little bit new for the Fringe, because one of the wonderful things about Fringe is there are so many great solo shows and people trying to tell their own experience, and our take on this is our relationship as siblings, but telling our own stories and how they've interacted. And
yeah.
I think as we sort of mentioned before, the letters are a very useful device for Deborah, who is really shy in her life, and so it's an old-fashioned throwback communication mode, but it's also a very useful one when you don't want to have direct communication or conflict, but you want to be honest. So let's bring back the letter, everybody. It's really helpful.
I'm still doing it.
Absolutely. I still use it for all of my confrontational conversations. I still use letters.
Yeah.
Very useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is your final show at the Fringe. How have your shows been going so far? What have your houses been like? What have audiences been like? How's the Fringe treated you?
It's been great so far.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate with audience response, but at least my first goal is to spark conversation and to spread awareness about how it feels like to move through the world in a fat body. And I think we can check both of those criteria off. I think we've done a good job sparking conversation. And yes, we've had a warm reception, nice houses, but we have tickets available for this afternoon. So please come and join us.
What time is the show? Where is the show? Give it a plug.
It's at 1:45 at the Review Stage on Danville Island.
Awesome. So get your tickets now. And if as far as sparking conversations go, I think this is, and I wish we had time to organize a talk back, but this we'll have to do for now, maybe later, some other time. But so what kind of, do you have any questions for people who are watching this, or for people who've seen your show? Because this is going to go up on the review site, right? So for people who've seen your show, what kind of conversation questions do you want to ask them? Anything come to mind?
Well, we both have talked about how much we really do believe this is a show that does need a post-show conversation, a transitory period out of the theater into the world. I'm curious about people who, I'm most curious to hear from people who don't know Deborah and us. Deborah and I should say, and how they perceived our sibling relationship, and if they could relate to that as people who don't know us. Also, if they learned something about, if an audience member is not fat or has never been fat, if they learned something about that experience.
Yeah, and as I don't know if we mentioned before, somebody once told us that this play isn't actually that PC, because we're not necessarily saying, yay, everybody. We're saying that our lives, especially Naomi's life, has been easier since she's lost weight. And we say that it sucks that she had to lose weight for that to happen. But trying to spread awareness of that and maybe trying to get other people's experiences around that topic. I think would be great to hear about.
Yeah. I think it would be great to hear about, because you talk a bit in the play, and I hope I'm not giving too much away, you talk a bit about not wanting to admit that the way you look matters to you. And it was interesting to me, because the way you spoke about it, it sounded like very much that the way you look is always for other people. Whereas why can the way you look not also be for yourself, was kind of what I was sitting there thinking.
No, that's totally,
you can care about what you look like
totally
for
true.
you. But that's true for most people, right? Like most people, they don't care about the way they look for themselves. It's not a mode of self-expression. It's usually a like me thing. So to talk about that, and like, how can we change? I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking pride in the way you express yourself through what you wear and how you do your hair and all that kind of stuff. But can we find a way to make it about ourselves instead of about other people and about what other people think? And I think that's a huge, deep thing to unravel for all of us, I think.
I totally agree. I wish I wish my perspective was that I just took ownership of my appearance and didn't care what anybody thought. What we're trying to express in the show is that the direct feedback I receive from the world now is so positive that it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
I wish I could just ignore all that feedback, but when I'm getting all of this attention and visibility just because I weigh less, for me, like, and I totally acknowledge this isn't every person's experience, and God, power to you if you're not impacted by it the same way. But
I think it's a lot of people's experience. I think there are very few of us who are that enlightened.
Yeah, and so that's what I think is interesting. Well, that's what we're trying to be honest about, because it isn't something that's talked about as much. You know, this amazing body positivity movement is a total step forward, and we should be embracing every shape and size. But let's not ignore the fact that society still gives significant advantages to people who look and operate a certain way.
Yeah, and I think that doesn't make your show not PC. I think that allows your show to highlight the gap of where we are and where we want to be. I didn't get the message that it's better to be, like this is what we should be aiming for. I got the message.
Good.
Like,
we don't want that.
This is the reality, and I have to live in it. So, and it's not always. You're right. It's not always worth fighting the fight. It's not always walking uphill for your whole life. Like sometimes you just want things to be easy for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Or just fair. Fair would be nice. But yeah, I mean, I've even met, I think I've only met 2 beautiful people in my life who aren't also worried about how people think of them because of the way they look. I think I've only met 2 people who were born, gorgeous and, skinny and beautiful cheekbones and all that, who are blasé about it and are just like, well, whatever, it's just looks. Like most of the people I know at some level, whether or not they want to admit it, they care about what people think of them. We're human beings. We care about what people think of us. It's hardwired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been twisted, I think, way out of proportion. Anyway, so last final words to people who want to come see your show. Anything to pique their interest?
Check it out, skinny people. Check it out, chubbos. We love you.
If you have a sibling or if you don't.
Yeah, if you have a sibling. The show, we talk about body stuff, but it's really about family stuff, I'd say. Equally or even more so. So please come check us out.
Siblings.
Bring your siblings. Yeah. Talk to them. Get weird.
Yeah. Enjoy the film. Your last day.
That's a great idea, to bring your siblings. That's fantastic. I love it.
Cool.
And there's some great family anecdotes in there too. Like there's a lot of just wonderful comedic stories as well. So thank you both so much for coming. If you haven't seen Big Sister, it is playing today at 1:45 at the review stage. So go get your tickets now. And I will let you two go and get ready for your show.
Great. Thank
you very much.